Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm so happy to see you here, and I know you thought you were coming to learn about managing conflict within your communities and how to mediate those conflicts. Hopefully by the end of this discussion, you'll see that embedded in communicate, activate, rejuvenate, and evaluate, you'll see that that is how you manage conflict and come to consensus within your communities. As Devontae told you, I am a Third Ward native, very proud of that. I'm also the wife of a past Civic Club president in an old neighborhood. I'm the mother of the current Civic Club president in that same neighborhood. Though my son doesn't own a house, he lives with me. But that's kind of things that y'all know you'll encounter in our neighborhoods. So today I hope I learn from you as well. Because my Civic Club is in transition. It's about 300 homes that's represented. Most of them taught me in school. I'm 66 years old, so you can imagine how my neighbors are. We're the young people in the neighborhood. But we're having families coming in now. We're seeing the baby carts, and that's a good thing. But how do we get our community and our Civic Club the way it was just 10 years ago? So that's a challenge, and I hope to learn some of that from you because you're the warriors in your neighborhoods. So I'll go back and tell my non-home owning son what I've learned today from you. So I'm looking forward to this as well. I call this Uniting Our Community with CARE. And CARE being the operative word, and it does consist of communicate, activate, rejuvenate, and evaluate. And we're going to go over each one of those elements together. This is a very proactive session, and to see how that allows us to move forward, to get the resources and the vibrancy that you're putting all your effort into, all of your heart and soul, to get everybody on board, because it benefits everyone, and everyone needs to understand that. And that's the challenge I know you're facing. Everybody wants you to do it. So I know we have a lot of testimonies today, and I'd like to hear from you. So let's get started. Let's start with communicate.
Can I pass out the
Oh, sure. I'm so sorry. I thought I saw them already.
I just want to see if these are for us.
Yes, they are. I made them just for you.
We got one.
Okay. Do y'all have that direct deposit app where you can put it in the planning department's budget? $250 for each one of you for that packet. Devontae, you want to do the collection for us? Okay. Okay, everybody good? Okay. Let's start with communicate. And what is communicate? It's a two-way process of reaching mutual understanding. The participants are engaged in exchanging information, news, ideas, and feelings, as you well know. It's a means of connecting people, and it is a key to a community's progress. If you're not communicating, your community is not going anywhere, but in decline. So one of the benefits, several of the benefits of communicating is it facilitates reaching a common understanding. Let's get on the same page. It minimizes conflict. You don't have people saying, well, I didn't know anything about that. What are y'all doing? Because you've been communicating. It engages people. When people hear from you and what it is you're trying to do and how it'll help them, they want to become involved. And it encourages participation. You want them to become involved because right now you're probably doing it all on your own with just maybe a few people helping, if any. Well, it encourages people to come in and do their fair share. So that's one of the benefits. Those are some of the benefits of communicating. And the goals and objectives of communicating is to create a system of common understanding. When I tell you, let's go right, right means this way, not that way. So we got a common understanding. We're on the same page. We know what we're talking about. And it minimizes miscommunication. Oh, I thought you meant it was going to start at 5 o'clock a.m. I was there. No, p.m. means afternoon, post-meridian. So it minimizes miscommunication. Oh, so you think I'm kidding. I'm organizing an alumni breakfast for Yates for next Friday. My communication did, and I put who, what, when, where, why. 2 people showed up at the Emancipation Park yesterday. When? Friday, October 19th at 9 o'clock a.m., 3201 Emancipation Avenue, formerly called Dowling Street. 2 people showed up at the park yesterday. So, and it minimizes conflict. What are they doing? I didn't know anything about that. They don't speak for me. Y'all know I'm testifying to you. And it maintains engagement. People are more apt to participate and hang in there when they know what everything is all about. But communication has to be effective. You just can't say anything or assume things. So it should involve complete information, so that no matter what you do, as I just explained, but to have at least only 2 people showed up and not the 70 that said they were going to come. And you have to embrace all media formats. I am not on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, Snapchat, anything else. But if I need to communicate to my community, I need to respect and appreciate that everybody doesn't like snail mail or just an email. I don't like going on the internet after work, but it's not about me. So to be effective, I have to consider how everybody wants to receive their information so they can find out about it. And be creative. You know, just nice little black and white stuff. You're trying to engage people. It's like you're selling them on doing something for their own good. So be very creative in your communications for you to be effective. And don't assume. Oh, they know we've been meeting. They ought to know. Well, if they wanted to know, they would have found out. Don't assume. Just say, okay, how do I communicate to a person who's blind and deaf and mute? For them to know and target that person, and then you'll hit everybody else up the ladder. And finally, be transparent. Don't hold back information. Don't give too much, but try to balance it. What do they need to know for us to accomplish this goal of this meeting or this effort? But not to overwhelm people with too much information. You know, Miss Sally didn't want to do this, but we decided we were going to do it anyway, so we want you to come. Well, I ain't coming because I don't want to fuss with Miss Sally. So just, you know, get a good balance on what transparency is. And now we get to conflict. And conflict is a situation in which there are opposing demands or ideas, and a choice has to be made between them. And it occurs when one or more persons have needs and expectations that are not being met by another person. And in a neighborhood, it happens when people see their home and their neighborhood differently than someone else. So let's kind of pause here and talk about the conflicts that y'all may have encountered in your efforts to get your neighborhood back up to speed and revitalized. You, I'm gonna call on you. I'm being transparent.
Well, you know, I elected to work with Acres Home. I don't live in Acres Home, but I elected that area for
That's a good deal.
a complete community. And what I found is, you know, like you said, even, you know, in your neighborhood where the, you know, your civic clubs or whatever, the people are older.
Yes.
You know, and they remember the day when things were vibrant. But then, you know, somehow, you know, they're missing what has happened
Right.
after that, you know, so it's becoming, I see it's difficult, you know, for the community to embrace the newer generation, and then, you know, it's a wall. It's a wall for this group, and it's a wall for this group. So somehow we have to figure out, you know, like you said, it has to be an added respect, because if these people feel like, okay, you know, we're older or whatever, and we're not getting the respect, and these people feel like, well, you think we so young, we don't know nothing,
Yes.
then, you know,
That generational
that it is.
disconnect.
It's a generational barrier. You know, not each group don't know how to talk to each other, because this group, you know, regardless of whatever, if you a certain age, you a child to them.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Like y'all are children to me. Yes.
And like people are under me, you know.
Yes, yes.
And so, you know, that's been the barrier, and that's been the challenge of,
Okay.
you know, because I'm on the engagement team, and it's very difficult to engage, you know, to encourage the engagement. Like you said, there is no trust.
Absolutely. Anyone else have something they'd like to share? Pretty lady in the blue?
Why are you kidding me?
Because you're a pretty lady in the blue.
Thank you. I do. My name is Joan Hart, and I am not I grew up in the Heights, Sudowood.
Okay, all right.
That's what we called it back then. But I since then moved, I'm in the county now. But I got on the HOA board. We have HOA, you know, and I got on that board a few years ago because a lot of stuff was going on. Well, then, so, you know, we have a mud, all right? So that's
wow.
the one that's really, because the mud take care of the water. We have backwater, and the mud takes care of the mud takes care of the water, anyway, it'll come up in a minute. But the mud is the one that, okay, first of all, they merged our subdivision with another subdivision on the mud, in the mud. So the mud is the one that I'm here, and then because I have registered in my community development, I'm making a master's. I'm working on my master's in community development.
Good for you.
And my professor gave me this information, and I need to come because I need to know where to go, because some of the people that's on the board, they just don't want to do right for everybody. You know, so that's why I'm here, and that's why, you know, I need to find out some more information, because I wrote Austin and just different things, but we're still not getting what we're supposed to get to do, you know, to help with the people in the community. So they don't want to come to the meetings. They're afraid because if the officers are there, they don't want to talk in front of the police officers, you know, and stuff, because they don't know there's no conflict from there and all of that, and how they've been treated coming before, where they would get hollered at and just different stuff, you know. So that's where I'm at with that. And I need some additional information.
Yes,
Can I make
ma'am.
one quick comment? I wanted to kind of piggyback on something that she said.
Okay.
You said
Thank you.
with trust. I think a lot of issues have to do with maybe trust issues. That's just my perception. Trust whether or not you know, somebody wants to be in leadership. Are they in leadership because they want to actually help the whole community or all the communities?
Yes.
Or are they in leadership because they're a developer and they want to come in and build?
And
So I think that's
thank you for
kind
that too.
of a key piece as far as what I see. And I've been trying to be involved as long as I can without losing hope and not being involved.
What area are you in?
Neighbors' homes.
Okay, all right. Wow. Do y'all know Carolyn Thomas? We'll talk about that later. I do. So what I'm really hearing is when you have conflict, it slows progress and it creates a disconnect between the community and much needed resources. Developer has one objective, those of you who live there have another. And it's discouraging. And that's what I'm hearing. It's very discouraging, especially to you who are committed to your communities. And it's stressful. I mean, you wouldn't be up here this time of day if you hadn't encountered some type of stress and trying to find out ways to relieve it. So to manage conflict, one of the most effective ways to do that, because conflict is just like death and taxes. We may as well call that the third certainty. Death, taxes, and conflict. It's going to be there. So to manage it, because you can't eliminate it, but to manage it, create a resolution action plan. And that should be something that you do as soon as possible. Everybody knows how to agree when you're coming together, and everybody has their own perception about what it is you're trying to do. Oh, we're going to make Acres Home better. Yeah, that's it. I'm in. But what do you do when you don't agree?
Some people
Even-
just avoid. Some people just avoid. They just go home.
True.
Like, I'm not going to participate.
That's true. And that's just a way of managing, that's one of the impacts of a community. The people just back off. They're disengaged now. There's a disconnect, as we talked about earlier. But to manage it, create a way to resolve. This is how we're going to, when we disagree, here's the steps that we're going to employ to get back on the same page. In labor relations, if you look at some of these contracts, they'll have an arbitration clause, which is a disagreement. What are we going to do? When they go into business, two people starting out in business, first thing they're going to do is to create, how do we dissolve the corporation? You haven't even filed your papers with the Secretary of State yet. But the most important thing is not your contract to go into business together. It's your contract for when we fall out, who gets what. I don't want to say prenuptial agreement, but
Sort of like it.
it's sort of like that. But it's just how are we going to resolve a conflict, not how we're going to break up altogether, because you don't want that for your community. But when we can't agree on what should be in that deed restriction, or should we have a no yard parking, ordinance application or not? How are we going to resolve that when it's tied? 51 and 50 do not. What are we going to do when we reach those type of impasses? So you would create a resolution plan, and everybody has a part of that. And everybody should always be reminded of that, and probably even at the beginning of every meeting, let's go over our conflict resolution plan. And let's remember this. So you can't have that person just going to dig their heels in, well, this is what I want and I'm not budging and I'm not signing anything. So it's kind of a plan for conflict.
And it has to be agreed.
Right.
Everybody has to.
But that's when you're going to hear the most input from people. Because they can tell, oh no, I'm not going to do this. That's going to be the most proactive thing you'll come across. And that way you'll know, oh, y'all really do know how to engage. So we expect that type of behavior when we're doing something positive as well. You need to listen to that other side. Listen harder, listen again. And not just wait for your opportunity to talk. Listen. And acknowledge and understand their perspective. Because a lot of times things are based on fear. I'm afraid of that developer. I don't know what he's about. I think he's just coming in here to do me harm. So I'm disconnecting. I'm not going to engage. Or I'm sabotaging. So actively seek opportunities to agree. Even in the midst of all of this disagreement, what I don't like, what I'm not going to do, and I don't think, let's listen for agreement points. Because that's how you can start eliminating their fears and really having your own fears eliminated as well. Pick your battles. You can't fight every battle. So if somebody is fighting over the shade that they think your picket fence ought to be paid, and somebody wants oyster white and this one wants off-white, okay. And yet you see all these cars and junk motor vehicles everywhere. But you want to spend 4 days on this. Pick your battles. What are you really trying to accomplish here? And also, I heard some of y'all say some things. And this is one of the things we've come across in my neighborhood. And I call it, I like acronyms, as you can see. So I call it another C.A.R.E, cease antiquated rituals and entitlements. Miss Sally, I know you've been over the deed restriction committee for 20 years and we got all these violations. Why do you think we want you to continue to be over that? And we have someone else who's innovative or who wants to do it also. You can't hog these committees and titles, and you have to, so you really have to kind of, this is a way of just letting folks in. Because if you don't, they're gonna leave. You know, if we don't allow input, because as I said, at 66, I'm one of the youngest people in my neighborhood. And I am proud. I just don't like it. I don't see the point in it.
I'm talking about them.
Oh, no. No, they still, you ought to see us out there when we have meetings. I mean, we're having to literally pay Yates to Xerox some stuff for us and then stick them in mailboxes for 300 houses. And we run up and down, you know, because they're not on email. Some are, but most are not.
Make changes, you know. Well, I know a lot of because I was in the school, I did subbing in the Klein district for 10 years. I know the students. I work for the high school students. They teach you everything you think you don't want to know. They'll teach you. They'll show you. You know, they'll tell you. Especially if I had a relationship with them. So they told me everything. Oh, you know, da da da. You know, it's like this. You know, gang members. They had the Crips and the Bloods there too. You know, and so it was like that. But what I'm saying is though, the ones that are older, because I'm in my 60s. Okay, so I'm 63. And so, with that being said, the ones that are younger is not coming in like we need them to. So I walk and I try to talk to them and ask them, you know, because their parents are there that are they're on their Social Security benefits and stuff like that. So they want to keep their homes and stuff like that and stuff. So they need to kind of like help them and show them kind of what they need to do and stuff like that. You know, I don't have a Facebook, but I interact kind of like otherwise or whatever, you know, and stuff. But I understand them for not wanting to do the Facebook and all that.
Yeah.
And they don't want to learn. They just want to have their little flip phone and that's it.
And so I can tell you exactly how the internet works. It's Unix based. I did this for but I don't want to be on Facebook. My friends are on it. I don't want to be on it. And you're going to have to figure out, if you put it on Facebook only, like my church does, I'm not going to see it. Because I don't like living my life on blast. To me, I don't want to be found by anybody. I don't want 3,000 friends.
Right.
That's just a personal choice. But I respect the fact that everybody else does it. And so I'll figure out another way to get in contact with them.
But there's also ways to, just for your group.
Right.
Just for your group to communicate. You know, whereas like, you know, people get older, they might in the meetings at night, they might be scared to drive at night. You can Skype, or you can have a conference call.
Oh, absolutely. And it was just kind of funny talking to some of my friends that, you know, we're all no longer, most of them are retired from AT&T and so forth. And we all kind of figured, well, I wonder why none of us are on Facebook. And we don't Skype, you know. I started, 44 years ago. We learned about video teleconference, you know, back then.
Right.
And we just, you know, so it's kind of interesting to see all these things that we learned in 1974 coming into fruition. Cell phones was developed during World War II, so it's nothing new. None of this stuff is new. It's just a different pricing package. But back to the rituals and entitlements, those things serve to create conflicts. Robert's Rules of Order. When you're having your meeting, you know, Madam Chair, may I be recognized? Point of order, point of order. You know, if you're trying to get deed restrictions created, nobody wants to hear point of order, out of order. You're trying to get agreement. And so that's an antiquated ritual that some people are very comfortable with and they're expert on Robert's rules. But my son, you tell him Robert's rules, no, they don't use it in corporate America. They don't use it, and this is where they are. We may have used it in our churches and our social organizations, but they're not using it where they're coming up. They don't use it in their student government. So I don't know what that is, and they find it offensive. What do you mean point of order? I'm a human being. Don't point your finger. You know, it's just it's a different environment. So you cease that so you can come together, because Robert's been gone a long, long time when he developed those rules. And is it worth it to hold on to that when it's a hindrance? So kind of cease antiquated rituals and entitlements. Miss Sally, you might be co-chair this time. But this young family wants to work on that. And they may be a lot more effective than what you, and we can work together. We can work together.
So then it becomes.
You're just not entitled. Now, if we come together and everybody wants you to be deed restriction chair for the 31st year, that's one thing. But to come in deciding, I'm it no matter, and we're not going to vote, that's when you need to cease that antiquated ritual and that sense of entitlement, because it's counterproductive to what you ultimately are trying to accomplish.
And it becomes a hindrance.
It becomes a hindrance. And you're going to lose. You're going to lose people.
Yes,
You're going to lose the very people you need the most to keep your neighborhood, to create that vibrancy that you remember and that they want coming in. You're really all on the same page. Everybody wants a strong neighborhood with a strong neighborhood economy, wonderful resources, things for families and seniors and school-age children alike. But you're not going to get there if you come in with a sense of entitlement, or that these antiquated rituals mean more than what people want right now or to achieve that goal. Activate. We have to activate our neighborhoods, and that's really what you're all about. And activate means to make something active or operative. Right now you're probably dormant, as in my neighborhood. And activate means to set things in motion, to get it started, to energize it, to create progress. And that's a hard task that I know you're all involved in. But it is a necessary task to move toward that complete community status. And a complete community is one that is self-sustaining, vibrant, and happy. And the benefits of activating something, it creates opportunities for growth and resources. HEB follows successful neighborhoods. So you don't have to drive, I drive from 3rd Ward to Montrose, because I like that HEB. The one on Scott, the park, and so many competing things that, and they have limited opportunities because the space is just not big enough. I'm real familiar and go to church with the people that got that HEB there. They had no idea that there was that much demand at that location, and they can't grow. They had to add on to that store within months. There's no room now. They cannot grow, so you can't put a delicatessen in there. You can't put that big fresh seafood as they have on Montrose. So they're building a new one off of 288 and McGregor, but I guarantee you other stores will follow, if you can find land in 3rd Ward, to do. So when you activate, and the community really did get behind that, and it was a long process, because HEB first told 3rd Ward back in the mid-90s, oh, we'll never locate there. That's what they told Reverend Bill Lawson. Well, they're there.
Still no in my neighborhood.
They're there now, and we're getting the second one. So it does create opportunities for growth. And with that growth, jobs. Jobs for high school students, jobs for families. And it attracts new families. People look at it. You'd be surprised what the buying decisions are for families. Everybody doesn't think alike. And if they see amenities, like a great grocery store with some organic produce, that may be where they want to come. And it strengthens the neighborhood economy. Because if you have that HEB there, someone can have their little small business next to it in that same strip center, and the jobs, as I mentioned before, and your quality of life soars. It just like winners attract winners. Everybody likes a winner. So if you create a winning, complete community, you're going to attract those resources. So you have to activate it, and that's what y'all have all done. You started that process of being a catalyst to spark this thing in motion and to get it in motion. And you need to rejuvenate. And that's to give new vigor to. Acres Home, oh my goodness, you have beautiful land. So much. And I'm just in because if you go to Third Ward, we don't have any place to grow. To grow in Third Ward, you have to take away. Example, my church bought a block of homes because the church has grown so much. But it's hurtful because I look at it, that's X amount of votes, X amount of school children that will never have that opportunity to live on Blodgett and Ruth anymore. Those families are gone, scattered. We don't know where they are now. But we're cramped in this one building. You got a preacher preaching 4, it needs to be 5 service. You know, there's a balance when you don't have land. So when you do have land like they do in Acres Home and Sunnyside, it's a good thing. So you want to rejuvenate to give vigor to something and to make it new again. But most important, rejuvenation makes something better. And to restore it to its original splendor. And I think you made that comment earlier about people remember what Acres Home used to be like. And I remember riding horses out there. And what is now.
I remember the relationship, you know, that the people had in Third Ward. Because
oh, absolutely.
I was a little girl in Third Ward, and the community was very tight knit, and it still is.
Yeah.
You know,
now that's why we don't have land, but we're still tight.
Yeah, you know, for the people that still, you know, that remember, but the other ones coming in, it's different.
Right.
They won't get that. Because
Well, that's
my
because you
mom
have to
finished from
communicate.
Jackie Yates. My mother finished from Jackie Yates, old Jackie Yates.
Okay, on
And,
Elgin.
They grew up
2016
at
Elgin, Houston, Texas
Anita,
77004.
Elgin and Anita family was, and it's no more, and they housing, I mean, just, you know, so
Yeah.
the kids are not gonna remember that. Who teaches, they don't even teach them nothing like that in the history stuff, so they won't know all of this,
Right.
you know,
But like
that
you
we
said,
had.
like you said, we have to communicate. So that's
You have to
right.
communicate. I went to Fisk University, and the Jubilee Singers are just, that's us.
Right.
They introduced the Negro spiritual to the world. They sang for Queen Victoria, who gave money and built Jubilee Hall. That tradition is there at church. When I hear people say, all these kids don't like to sing this, they don't like to sing that, did you teach them a Negro spiritual? When I was in school, we had music. That's another issue, taking music out. But all the hymns I know, I learned from Mrs. Vivian Harrison at Turner Elementary School, who's one of my civic club members around the corner. But that's where I learned them.
Yeah.
So when I got to church, I knew Blessed Assurance because I learned it in school. And those Negro spirits, and I learned American folk songs. Get along home, Cindy, Cindy, I'll marry you someday. But I learned it in school. You have to teach. Whatever you want your child to know, or whether you want your kids in the community to know, you have to teach it. It's not the function of someone else. It's your job. And that's one way to rejuvenate. If you want them to know the history of Acres Home, make it a part of your civic club meetings. Make it a part of your newsletters. Communication. Impart information that you want to be permanent, that you want to sustain, that you want to revitalize, that you want to communicate, activate, and rejuvenate. If you don't tell it, when I was at AT&T, I had a little thing in my office. He who has a thing to sell and goes and whispers in a well is not as likely to make $1 as he who gets up in a tree and hollers. So if you want somebody to know it, holler it. Holler it. So that's part of rejuvenation. And rejuvenation it's a magnify opportunities.
And I just thought of something, maybe that's something that the older people that are there in those communities, they've held it.
Absolutely.
Whether it's moving or not,
Yes.
they've held it. And so they need to be celebrated.
Yes.
So maybe if you celebrate them and say, you know how thankful we are,
Yes. Yes.
and highlight the things that you've done, then maybe they'll be open,
Yes.
instead of saying, oh, well, she had to ride the bus to get here, or, whatever, just you finding everything that's not good, or why you shouldn't be here, because without them, you wouldn't be
Right.
here.
You're standing on their shoulders.
That is correct.
So what I'm hearing you say is you're going to have the first annual Neighborhood Heroes Banquet at the Acres Home Multipurpose Center
Yes, you could.
next year. And who's on her committee?
That's a good one.
So that's what you do. And you'll incorporate students for them to know as well. So that's a good idea.
Well,
Because that's how you rejuvenate.
Brought it on.
There you go. That's how you do it. And rejuvenation brings about stabilization.
Yeah.
Your community gets stable. People have a reason to pass homes from generation to generation. I've lived here all my life. My mama lived here. You want to be able to say that. And it increases safety. There's a thing out now I think it's called broken windows. And that they've noticed there's a correlation between when you go into a community, how many vacant houses you see with broken windows and so forth, and the crime rate. That's why what you're doing and what you volunteer to do and the passion you're showing for trying to make your community complete, you're making that neighborhood safe. You're saving lives, to be honest.
You are saving lives.
You're saving lives by working with that planning department and working on the complete community because the children are safe. Criminals just don't like active communities.
They sure don't.
They don't like planned communities. They don't want to see city services come in. They don't like it. And good. Move. Move somewhere else out of Houston, hopefully. So when you rejuvenate your community through C.A.R.E, it's a safe community. Your seniors are safe. Your children are safe. Your traditions are safe. And the heart that you put into your community becomes safe because it's now protected because you rejuvenated it. And finally, you have to evaluate. And I also have this in my office. People who accept criticism are the ones who are truly interested in improvement. When you evaluate, and you have to evaluate your efforts. You just can't presume that just because I'm doing it and no one's helping me, I'm right. That is a danger zone. You have to evaluate, and to evaluate is to determine the significance, worth, or condition of something, usually by careful appraisal. And I should have put in there by objective appraisal and study. And it's to judge something with respect to its worth or significance. Now, I know the Bible says, judge not, lest ye be judged, but that's not the context Jesus meant. It means to be equal and fair in your judgment. Equal weights. And if you're only one evaluating yourself, I did good. I did real good.
What does that take?
By who?
Right. Well, no, if you did so well, okay, well, where's the results? Where's the legacy that you've left? So you have to evaluate. Even when as you take those steps, take a look at it. And don't have such a thin skin, because when you're in your meetings together and you're trying to formulate a plan, let's say a deed restriction, don't let the first idea, the first statement that comes out of someone's mouth be it, because you don't want to hurt their feelings.
Right.
If you make a different suggestion, they'll take that as a criticism. That's why I say people who accept criticism are really the ones who want to improve. If you're really trying to improve your neighborhood, everybody's going to have to not have a thin skin, not take it personal. I'm not talking about you. We're talking about Acres Home, or we're talking about Sunnyside, or we're talking about Studewood, Independence Heights,
Let it go.
Fifth Ward, Pleasantville.
Yes, ma'am.
We're talking about the community and how to make it better. And yes, that's a good idea, but let's hear from Rob over here.
He's new to the community.
No, he could be the oldest one there. A good idea can come from anybody.
That's right.
Anybody. A 5-year-old may have a good idea.
Different, you know.
Well, let's just hear it.
Everybody.
And then let's evaluate each idea for its merits.
Right.
No matter whose mouth it came out of.
Correct.
So, and let's talk about it and see, is this going to get us where we're trying to go? Which one will get us there quickest, most effectively, most cost effective, and satisfy the biggest need in the best way? And that's how you may want to evaluate. So evaluation is just a guide for taking action. It's not a condemnation. It's not a commendation. You don't get a crown and get to be queen of Acres Home forever because you came up with a great idea.
No, I'm just playing.
Like Devontae, he's not going to be king of the planning department because he helped create this university and Mr. Brazil. No. It's a guide. And it's also to gain understanding. As if you evaluate, well, we did this, we did A, B, C, and everybody's ain't read us. Where did we go wrong? What did we do? What did we miss? Because we know everybody loves Stupid Woods, and we thought this would help. But clearly, we were in meetings, we had this, we did that, and yet the mark was missed. So let's go back to the drawing board, and let's see what happened. We put the wrong date on there. Maybe we need to use a date check next time or proofread.
Right.
Minor things like that, like I forgot the S on slow when I was.
We didn't see it.
I did. So, and it's been bothering me all morning. So,
Go back and shower.
you talking about me? No. See how you have a thin skin?
We asking you.
You saying I'm not worth nothing? You want to tell them my mistake?
Oh, you sound like me.
You mean?
It reminds me of my mom when she tells me I don't pay attention, so I missed it.
Okay. And evaluate, it creates unity. Okay, we can do better, or we can do different, or darn, we did better than we thought. I thought we were going to get 10 signatures. We got 200. Wow, what did we do that made people want to sign this? What is so special about this? And how can we, maybe we need to eliminate this effort that we had planned and stay in this mode till we get to this, and then maybe the priorities need to shift. So it's a guide. It's not an attack. Take your crown off, Devontae. Turn that camera off. It ain't about you. We're just trying to evaluate to get better. And evaluation also increases the focus on your vision. It helps you not to lose sight of what you are trying to do. You can get so caught up in success that you forget what brought you there in the first place. And it's not intentional. It doesn't make you an egotistical person. You just got caught up. And it happens to everybody, the best of people. So that's just one of the benefits of evaluating. So always take a look at what it is you're doing, what it is someone else is doing, and even evaluate other people's plans in other communities. Communicate with them as well. Planning department is a wealth of information. I support them for planning commission, but I had to do a presentation at work recently about all the services that the planning department does, your addresses, how much sewer you need, just your utility, the city services, demographics. That's them. It's just amazing. And I've been with the city, 17 years now, whatever. And I was just preparing that presentation. That was amazing. And they are truly, I don't know, maybe I'll need a new name. Because planning and development is what they do. It's the essence. And Houston runs on development.
Yeah.
All cities do. But Houston is a good example of what a good planning department can produce. Because everybody wants to come to Houston. And there's a reason for that. And that department is really an integral force behind it. Very easy to work with.
Well, since the complete community,
Yeah, he's on
since I've joined that initiative, I really
Well, that's their
See.
brainchild.
what they do now. As long as I've been in the city, I just knew, I knew it was on the org chart.
You see a portion. I
I
believe
just see it
me.
on the org chart.
I'm
You know,
just
I really
saying.
didn't,
Yeah.
I really did not
Historical
know.
community, the tower
That's right.
community, the cell, what you put your
That
cell
is
towers
right.
on.
That's right.
All of that comes through them. So that's a good resource for you to use.
I have a question. Do you have a template for a resolution action plan?
I can get one. I can create.
I would
I
really
can
like
create
to-
one.
I would really like to have one so that.
But really, the plan is driven by how you want to resolve it. It's really organic. It comes from your group. What we may need in third ward, don't bring a gun.
Yeah.
Don't bring a knife.
I mean, like if I was.
No
gonna-
boxing gloves.
If I was gonna try to start one, I would like to be able to just.
Okay,
an
okay.
example.
I can help you.
I don't
With the
have,
labor form.
my number is 832
Right number down.
393 6274. I won't be in on Monday, but if you give me a call, maybe like around Wednesday,
Okay, thank you.
I'll have one
I
for
think we
you.
need a different approach in our name, because everybody wants to do their own thing.
Mhm.
And you got people that sit like on the board, and it's 5. So if it's 3 or 4 sticking together and one by themselves trying to fight, and the people, then it's not gonna work.
So you never
we
gonna
need
get a fair vote?
Yes, it's never a fair vote. That's where we at. I know, but I'm saying.
Cease
And how long?
antiquated rituals. That means people ganging up. People ganging up to keep other folks out. And then that's a form of entitlement.
Exactly.
And that needs to be communicated. We cannot move forward if this type of thing continues. That's where the communication really comes in. And honest communication. This is where we're trying to go. And these are some of the blockade, the challenges you create if you are going to just continue to embrace your entitlement perspective. Because if it was working, we wouldn't be here. If that click was so effective, why are we here today? Starting from scratch, getting on the planning department's nerve, using up all the resources. No, I'm just teasing.
And what are their purpose really for?
Yeah,
Just to come to the meeting?
and pick your,
Well,
and if
they
you're,
get paid,
Yeah.
they get a salary,
Oh.
so, for the county, and
Oh, they get a
Moore
salary.
County, yes, they get a
well,
salary.
they report to somebody.
Sure do.
Okay.
If they
Okay.
So you communicate, and that's part of transparency. That's part of activating. Activate means to take some action. If you see this, then you're gonna have to think it through and how to overcome that roadblock.
Well, I ran for
Yeah.
one of the director's seat, and I didn't make it in May, because, again, it's,
You can have influence without a title. Okay?
You sure can.
You don't need a title to be effective.
And sometimes you get them
So-
titles, you gotta sell your soul, so you don't wanna do that either.
So if it's right, do what's right. Do what's best for the community and use whatever avenues are available. And you don't have to just stop at that level of county interaction. There's another level. Everybody has a boss. And in writing. I would also always recommend putting things in writing. Email, you miss Facebook, put it out there.
We did some of that, and I
Okay.
started thinking about calling the news station.
No, first try to get it cooperatively.
Through the chain
The
of
news
command.
is just gonna report it. They're not gonna resolve
Well,
it.
then it might stop some of the,
Do you want,
Positive?
no.
I do want positive.
Do you want
but
publicity or do you
not
want a
really.
result?
Not really, but.
Then
but-
go through the channels. There's a hierarchy. There is a hierarchy within the county. Look for it, find
Nobody
it.
wants to assist.
You take the
I
initiative.
have,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, they have not tried to help, I'm getting,
Okay.
if it gets started by somebody, then somebody dropped the ball again, then you have to try to pick that back up and
Okay.
then try to go higher, so it's not like
Okay.
I haven't tried.
And I'm not, I'm trying to keep you encouraged. I hope I'm not
Okay.
discouraging you. But we can talk about that afterwards.
Okay.
Get up on the,
Yeah.
I did, I wrote it down.
Okay.
because
So,
you can't just solve it, because I don't really understand what's going on. Right.
okay. So when we communicate, activate, rejuvenate, and evaluate, we will have a complete community that everybody can thrive in, create our legacy, have something where our children and our schools, our churches, our neighborhood economies, everything is positive, and we're happy. We've reached our goal. So I'd like to thank you so much for today.